An alarming number of fires are ravaging much of California. Many have had to evacuate. If you're in the West and have room to spare, contact Bridget O'Connor, our Kingdom Emergency Response Spreadsheet-wielding Coordination Officer. You can find her at facebook.com/West Kingdom. Leave a note there and she'll be sure to get with you and get your information. And thank you for all the help that you can give.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where the hosts invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored by Sazeracs because, and this is a direct quote, my sassy seamstress likes them and sassy gets frisky with whiskey. All right. I'm your host, Tulia Alori. I am a Laurel from the West Kingdom, and I am just super psyched tonight. We've got a really very special guest on this show, somebody very, very special. And on that note, I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I'm going to pass this over to my beautiful co-host, Sir Danger Muppet, Helga.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sir Danger Muppet, otherwise known as Sir Helga. I am also from the West Kingdom. I am a pelican, a rose, and a knight. Depending on the day and my attitude, the order changes. I'm just glad to be here tonight. Also, I'm super stoked to have this guest on, because he is one of my SCA heroes, actually. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce our guest, Duke Thorfin the Cruel. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Duke Thorfin the Cruel. I've been active in the SCA for nearly 30 years. I'm a knight, 7th hero of the West, and I just am really happy to be here with you two ladies.
Well, you're kind of a captive audience, so...
You're stuck with us for the next hour. We're stuck with you for the next hour and a half.
Yeah,
So,
I'm stuck with
we never stuck to an hour show. We never did it.
Never have.
Alright, so with that, I'm going to remind everybody of the drinking game. So, tonight's drinking game, the rules are, when a guest or host uses a non-SCA name when referring to somebody else on the show. This also includes the tech crew. When someone says, before I was a peer, in my kingdom, or when I last reigned. Thorfin, you and I are screwed. When somebody calls for a soapbox, and when somebody uses or mentions the term spite sprinkles. So with that, we're just going to roll right into our questions.
All right.
Yeah, hit me.
Okay, well, sure. All right. All right, this one is guest specific. So this is from Madame Ghislaine. We have seen you at SCA events as the quintessential Norse/Roos. You also hit the Victorian gentleman persona pretty hard when you do Dickens Fair. How do you get yourself in the right mindset, and are there things you still struggle to maintain during a run?
So how do I, well, the Norse thing has been so much part of my life that it's like second hat. I just step into that character instantly. So there's not actually that much difference between Thorfin and my real name, Kelly. So, which I think I have to drink now. But so hold on. But that being said, the Victorian reenactment stuff I do is more of like kind of acting, like street acting, and so you do have to maintain a character, and that's much different than the SCA where you're just you with a different name, you know. I do a little bit of watching of some movies that I find have kind of the pattern of speech and things like that right before I do like the Charles Dickens Fair. I'll do like The Man Who Would Be King, and I watch like a little bit of Downton Abbey type shows and kind of get that. Really, I just tried to stay pronouncing my things very clearly, and that seems to work as a British gentleman. But But it's really just about playing the game with everybody and letting it flow. That's really all I do.
So if I say Tuesday.
Yeah, but she's referencing is they make you go through these ridiculous classes, which are required to be able to be a participant in the Dickens Fair. And I hate these classes, by the way. So I take the least amount of time I can to get done. And what I'll end up doing is I take the same ones every time. And one of them is this Victorian pronunciation, where this one lady, she goes through and overpronounces everything to the point of ridiculousness, where she's talking about how you say Tuesday. And like nobody ever says Tuesday when they say Tuesday, right? And so
any Brit, you're gonna be like, and Tuesday, and they're like, nobody says it like that.
Yeah, my British friends are like, what is this all about? So it's kind of comical, but so like anytime I do that, it's like Tuesday, and so that's I think why Tulia was making that joke.
Yeah,
it's kind of a known thing that I hate that part. But all in all, I think it's just like I said, just staying. Working with the characters and the public and trying to be able to riff off everybody. And as long as you get your base things down, you can just go for it.
Nice. You ready for the second one that is specific for you?
Oh, that you guys don't have to answer that one, right? Oh, shit. Okay,
no.
Hit me.
Nope. So the second one came from Baron Gwen. What is your favorite old Riven Oak story? And how did you manage to stay functional the day after the night with the pig in the dry creek?
Okay. What is my favorite Riven Oak story? Okay, remember, we're stuck like 2 minutes here, guys. I think probably one of my favorite Riven Oak stories was when Artos came up he was in college up in Eureka, and he came down to where I lived, which is Chico, Riven Oak, and we went out. It was December. It was Christmas break, right? And we went out to the bars and came home at 2 a.m. And I lived in an apartment complex called the Zoo. And it was called the Zoo because it was like an entire city block filled with apartments that were as legally as close as you could get to each other, filled with 18 to like 22-year-olds. And so it was just fucking chaos all the time. And to prove that, as we're walking up piss drunk at 2 a.m. in December, which is like 31 degrees, right, outside, there's guys that have stolen a horse. But it's one of those plastic horses that you see in front of a tack shop, like on the roof of a tack shop. And they've stolen it, and they're riding it in the pool, like rodeo style, right? Like this, 2 a.m, 31 degrees, right? And I'm just like, welcome to Chico, man. That's it. But I have hundreds of stories about Chico, so there's no way I could just pick one. But the thing that Glenn is mentioning...
You used his mundane name. You used his...
is when I was Prince of Sinagua.
Fuck, now we gotta drink again.
Brand went out and hunted a pig. Okay. And the idea was that him and I were going to host a war that was going to wear everyone out. It was the first Alden War. And so we had worked out a way of doing where we were going to do 26 battles during the course of the day, which was unheard of. Normally we did about 5 or 6. We changed kind of the whole rules about how to perceive, like kind of taking breaks and stuff like that, so that way you could still do everything. But then that night, Friday night, we went out and we cooked a pig underground. And we had some help from really great people up in Sinagua. But the ground was so hard that you literally couldn't dig into it. And so we were like, how the hell do we bury this pig and make a giant fire and not fuck with the fact that the site had a kind of a no digging giant holes rule? I found a creek bed that had dried up that was only like maybe 4 feet wide, 4 or 5 feet wide. And I took rocks and I built like basically a tiny oven. And then we just threw wood in that. And then we covered it with the dirt we could get. And Glenn, damn it. He was the constable, and he kept trying to come out to catch us doing something wrong, but there was nothing he could say that we were doing wrong. And so it was frustrating for him, but it was funny. We stayed up all night long till almost dawn, me and Brand, watching the fire. And we burned down like whole stumps in the coal. And then we buried the pig, and it cooked all day while we fought. Epic day. And the two princes hosted this giant feast where we bought everyone's beers, and we had the pig, and everything. But since it was the first Alden War, everyone was so tired they all went to bed at like 8 o'clock. And so it was the quietest Mississauga War ever at night, and the party was just dead because everyone was wrecked. And this is back in the day when events would have, a Mississauga War would have 1,000 people at it almost, So, but yeah, it was that was it.
Nice. All right, so we ready to get into the meaty questions?
Yep.
Oh shit.
First one's on you, Sassy.
I guess it is. Okay, so this was submitted by Mistress Michaela. She had a lot more written out, but we kind of condensed the essence of what she was asking, so we shortened it a little bit. I apologize, Michaela, if you're watching. It's not exactly what you wrote, but I think we got to the meat of your question. What is the difference between cocky and confident, and how do you develop past toxic humility?
Wow, toxic humility. Okay, so the difference between cocky and confident is confidence, you can back it up. And so that's important to remember. But I think that cocky also comes off with like vanity. It feels vain, where confident is you can just be confident. And a lot of times you meet people that just radiate confidence. When you encounter them, they seem like they know what they're doing, or when they in fighting, they just look like the proper stance, and they present well. But yeah, cocky's kind of I mean, you can be cocky and be funny, but there's a layer there too where you can go too far. I'm notorious for shit talking on the field, and so like when I'm out there in wars, I'm very much like I'll hit a guy and yell, "I'm so pretty," or something like that, or "Don't bring that weak shit here, meat." That kind of thing. I'm no problem with that kind of stuff. But then again, confident because I back it up. But I don't know. I think the toxic humility, I don't really know what that means. I mean, to be so humble that you're damaging people around you. Is that what that is?
Kind of.
I'm totally going to assault that one because it's something that
you take over.
Yeah, with that, because I don't know what that's being. Is it faux humility? Is that what that is?
Toxic humility, like when somebody is like overly humble, or like you get into that like toxic place where they're like seeking compliments and not able to take it, as well as like, oh well, my work is just good enough, or hopefully this is good enough, or something else like that. It really comes across into that toxic humility where we're taught not to be like, cool, this is my best work right now. I'd love feedback versus I hope this is good enough.
I've encountered people like that. I know what you're talking about. Okay, that one is really. I've run into people, and the thing is that society doesn't say that it doesn't want you to be mean to those people, right? Because being humble is kind of like supposed to be like a virtue. And so it is kind of a balancing act when you're talking to those people of saying like, hey, you're literally just fishing for compliments, and that's not helping you, right? But yeah, so I've encountered that, and it's like I said, it's kind of a thing where you have to actually. There are people that are just incredibly freaking humble too, right? Where no matter what you do, they're never going to feel like that they've achieved a worthy thing, and that's too bad. But I do feel that you can I think just confront them. Really, that's what I try to do. Like there's a guy that I know that does that a bit, and I'll just say like, hey man, this isn't about you, or something like that.
If I can interject a little bit, give a little bit more context to the way that the question was posed. The essence of it really was kind of at least the way that I interpreted it was something that I think you see told to people who are on the peerage path but aren't peers yet, where, take pride in your work, but don't take too much pride in your work. Take, advocate for yourself, but don't advocate for yourself so much that people think that you're full of it, like that you're stuck up or you think you're better than you are. And there's kind of a mixed signal that gets given to people. And like I said, I see it mostly, I think, being directed at people who are on the peerage path, but not yet peers. And it's this kind of conflicting information and how you should behave and how much pride you should take in your work versus if it's too prideful. I don't really know if that's exactly what Michaela meant, but that's where I interpreted it.
She just said yes on the chat.
Okay, perfect.
I think that when you're trying to achieve here is you want to show your whatever you're doing, whatever that particular form is, right? And I think it's how you present yourself will stop that from happening, right? You can say like, hey, this is my newest project. I'm open to criticism or whatever, and talk about it that way. But then to go into it like, oh, I don't know if this is good enough, and stuff like that. That kind of seems, kind of I don't know, mealy mouth kind of way of dealing with something, and I don't really appreciate that. So I think that if you have confidence, which is to say like, hey, this is where I'm at right now, right, on this project, be it running an event or arts or the art of defense or whatever, right? I think that you can show those things without having it be in a way that makes that is demeaning to yourself as well, like this kind of like I'm not worthy. The thing is that we're all trying to be worthy, and so you want your projects and your works to be that. So work hard to do that and show it, and don't be afraid to show it. And if you're not there, you're not there, right? That's okay too. We're all moving forward.
Helga, do you have any?
Oh yeah, no, I thought about this question a lot because this is totally one of my problems. So the difference between cocky and confident to me is actually understanding where you're at. You are cocky when you do not know your own value. And so it's the fake it till you make it. That is where you're cocky. Cocky actually doesn't have to be a negative thing. We tend to use cocky as a very negative thing, versus really it is the fake it till you make it, and or it can be a negative thing. It is a balancing act of figuring out what you should be cocky about and what you shouldn't be cocky about. And when you start figuring it out, that's where it develops into confidence. Confidence involves ruthless self-assessment. Confidence is, I know I can do X, Y, and Z. I am continuing to learn on this. I am possibly capable of this in the future. And then choosing and setting goals. And so for me, cocky is when you don't know how to do that. When you're still in that, like, trying to either fake it till you make it, or you're over boasting, or something else like that, or you're the flex. That's cocky. That's not confident. That's cocky. But when you start understanding what you are capable of, that is when you go to confidence. I saw you raise your hand,
Thorfin.
Yeah. So one of my heroes is Muhammad Ali, right? And he was famous for saying crazy things, right? Like, I'll float like butterflies, sting like bee, call guys, out on their, this guy like fights like this and all this kind of stuff. So was that cocky or confident, according to your style that you're describing?
So that's actually confidence. So one of the things is if you are capable of doing it, and you can actually read a bunch on Jet Li. Jet Li was very confident, but also very humble, but he could come across as very cocky because he was just very forthright in it. And if you read some of the interviews with his students, he'd just be like, "You're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
Let's fix this." And to some people, that comes off as cocky. However, in my viewpoint, that's confidence. So when you walk out onto a field, like I'll actually use you as an example, you, even if you're being mouthy, are confident. You have the skill set to back up what you are doing. It may come across to other people as cocky, which it's a very fine line. It's a very like totally thin rope, or thin like fishing line to tilt that way. It's almost a difference between bravery and stupidity almost. Like where's the line on that? What's bravery versus stupidity? Because sometimes it's both. And so really it comes down to cocky and confident can almost be the same thing. Humility plays a huge role in how you present your knowledge and thus how you are taken by other people.
I like it.
So on the toxic humility, moving past toxic humility, and we described it a couple different ways. For me, it is the lack of ownership of self. And it is, and this is taught. So part of the way that it got brought up is this is taught to us to do you must downplay what you do so people do not think you are cocky. Versus owning what you do and people seeing that as confidence. We have actually the idea of humility in the Western culture, and not just West Kingdom culture, in Western like mundane society culture goes back to like the church idea of like, I must flog myself and thus I am humble before God, and I must give up all that I have and so thus I am humbled by giving everything lesser. Humility for me is not defined like that at fucking all. Humility for me is much more like confidence, but it is the gentle confidence. It is the understanding where you're at, where you can be, and what you can do, and then learning how to express that in a non-cocky fashion. amusingly enough, to make this full circle.
So full circle right there. That's great.
Yeah, full circle right there. This question is actually super full circle. And so getting over past toxic humility is actually getting over your own internalized fear of having to prove that you're good enough. So in like needing outside validation to show that you're good enough, that's when you start getting over that humility where you need to present something and be like, oh, well, hopefully this is good enough. You know what? I want to say to somebody, like when I present them a shield, like, this is my best work right now. I would love to get feedback. I will improve in the future, but I'm super proud of what I just did right here. Like, so let's roll.
I don't think I can really add too much more to what these two lovely sunflowers of human beings said. Other than so I'm trying to be like very, very affirming. We've been watching a lot of Parks and Recreation, and one thing I love about the show, if I might take a brief digression, is that Leslie Knope is so very affirming of her friends, and I think that is a wonderful thing that we should always try to practice on our friends. So I'm trying that. But yeah, one of the things that I've seen it done. I've experienced it a little bit myself. I think for me, my struggles were a little different when I was on the peerage path, because I had a lot of confidence in my skills. But I don't think, I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Somebody could completely jump in and tell me if I need to correct me on that. Maybe my Laurel is watching and she'll chime in the comments and tell me if I was actually cocky. But I felt like I was confident. I felt like I didn't, need to make excuses or try to undermine myself in my skills, I guess, just to try to compensate for the fact that I was proud of my work. But it is one of those things that it's a really fine line, and it is something that I've seen other people, kind of fed these double standards. And it is tough, but I think my takeaway from all of that is just have pride in your work, and that's okay. And if somebody tells you that you're too prideful, maybe it's not really you. Maybe it's their insecurities making it difficult for them to see you doing well. Maybe not in all cases. Maybe that's actually could be an actual, helpful, trying to be helpful critique. And Helga?
Oh, so this is actually going to be a really weird one. It's a super odd aside. Is the pride makes you a target. So the cocky versus confident makes you a target for other people to cut their teeth on. And so if you are seen as not humble, typically you are putting a larger target on your back for those also working in that same skill set there. They're going to use you as the bar because the person that is boasting is the person they're going to try to beat. And so that's something that other people must take into effect in how they're communicating their confidence is if you come across well, I'm the best at this, I can guarantee you tell me you're the best at something in fighting, I'm going to figure out how to be better.
Yeah. And Carius is actually flashing a note on his screen that we can see and you guys can't, but I will read it. It says, always have a compliment ready and a kind word to say about someone. And that's, that's good rules to live by in general. So we move on to the next question.
Yes.
Should we retroactively declare that a soapbox and then drink?
Probably.
Okay.
I'll actually probably say I think that's one of my favorite questions so far on this show.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the one that's coming up kind of dovetails with that too. So
yeah. So this we actually stacked these two questions for the show. So this one is pandemic specific. So we've got a little bit of a focus on this one to think about it, and it plays off the first question. And this one's from Rulov. I think I pronounced that correctly. How do you have a realistic view of where you're at in your own fighting art service? So it's all slashes there. How difficult it's difficult not to only see your mistakes and feel like you suck compared to all your friends.
Okay. I've thought a lot about this over the years, and I've encountered a lot of people that have we've only had one pandemic in my lifetime, thank God. But what I have is I've seen people have injuries. Or something that takes them away from the SCA for a while, and what they do is they come back and they beat themselves up about where they think they are based on where they were at when they started. right? Before the injury or pandemic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, when we're done with this, there's going to be a lot of people that are out of practice. And it's going to be a little bit of an ego bruise for a lot of people to have to realize this is where we're at today. But that's what I'm going to tell you. The way to get through it is to remember this is where we're at today. Tomorrow we can improve, right? We can become better. We can go back to practicing your art or whatever you're doing. But right now is where you're at. And so don't look back to that thing in the past and say, well, I used to be able to do this all the time. Because then that's going to cause all kinds of doubt and drag you down. And instead, what you should do is focus on, hey, today we're here, right? And then tomorrow, maybe we're a little further along on our path again. And the thing is, guys, it's really going to be a knocking the rust off thing. You got to knock the rust off. You got to go out there. You got to get hit probably one time really good if you're a fighter, right? Just to know that you're okay. That, for me, that's a big thing, is that when I take a break from fighting, which I've never taken one this long in my life, but there's a little bit of that fear of getting hit again. And I got to get hit one time, like kapow, right? And then at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm safe. My helmet protected me. I'm wearing armor. And also, I'm a person that you hit me, I want to hit you back, right? And so that wakes me back up. It wakes the fire back up. And that's going to be, we're all going to be there. We're all going to have to fight through this again. So don't let yourself get wrapped up where you were. We're going to be moving. Okay, so that's something to think about. Go.
Okay. I really, can't put it better than what Thorfin said. And the reason I we picked this because I had Thorfin's answer already in mind. Because we've had conversations about this, between ourselves and then, other people struggling with, specifically kind of injury comes up time and time again as an issue where, in particular, fighters get really sidelined, and they have to be sidelined for weeks to months to maybe even years before they can jump back in. And it is a hard thing for their ego to take. And I know that, performance-wise, a physical performance art like dance or singing or something like that, when you're out of practice and you used to be up here, but you dropped off for whatever reason, and you start back again and you're down here and you're thinking, shit, I used to be able to hit this note and now it sounds like, utter trash. All it takes, though, is more practice to get yourself warmed back up. And your body actually remembers this stuff really well. You can feel like Thorfin said, like you have to knock the rust off. But it becomes kind of on a molecular level in your body. It remembers how to do the things that it was sidelined from doing. And it comes back quick, often, quicker than you're expecting it to. So you shouldn't beat yourself up too much about it. And then also to say, we're all in this boat. The first crown tournament back, it's going to be really interesting. And in a way, maybe it levels playing fields. Maybe what happens is that everybody kind of starts off in roughly the same skill set because everybody had to reset to that level. So who knows? Helga?
So I call this compare and despair.
Mm-hmm.
Which is my favorite term ever because I do it all the time. Is you cannot compare yourself even from one fighter practice to the next. You have to take that as all data points. And if you get emotionally attached to the win and loss or the success and failure of whatever you're doing, you are going to despair on that point and forget your progress forward. And so this is very obvious in fighters. So we do loot, or I'm forgetting the word.
Peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys. Thank you very much. This is a very strong drink, I would like to note. So there's peaks and valleys in your fighting, but it's always kind of on this up curve as you're learning. And so we'll learn something, and then you go to the next fighter practice, and you don't know where to put your feet. Your shield is a sombrero. There's some weird shit going on. And if you take that one moment in time and just obsess on it, you're going to forget that you're learning a new technique. You're trying to get rid of something, anything else like that. And so compare and despair is really, really dangerous, especially for injury or long times off. You will never be the person you were 2 weeks ago. Ever. Doesn't matter, for better or for worse, 2 weeks is enough to change the muscle mass in your body. And so if, like, after this pandemic, you haven't picked up a sword or you haven't been training physically or anything else like that, when you get back in armor, you do not get to hold yourself to the standard of the last time you were in armor. Like, that's going to be the worst thing ever. If you haven't sewn in years, you can't put yourself to the standard of, like, well, I can do X, Y, and Z. Back yourself off and go find success. And that's the realistic view, is understanding that all the time. And I got that lesson super hard. I've got $50,000 in my right shoulder and elbow. And I will never fight the same way I did before those surgeries. And I have video of it. And occasionally I'll go back and look at the video and be like, damn, was I strong. Like, I was freaky strong for my size. I'll never have that again. Like, I have, at most, 75% of the power in my right shoulder and elbow. Never going to get past that. I'll never see it again. And so I can't keep trying to get back to a past moment in time. Instead, I have to figure out how to be better moving forward. And so write it down. Like, if you have to, if you're stuck in this where you're comparing and despairing, write it down. Be like, these are my future goals. So, like, X, Y, and Z are my future goals. I want to be able to sew this dress. Or I want to be able to hit this duke. Or I want to be able to, you know, project manage this event coming up. So write out those big goals. We call them WIGs, wildly unattainable goals. And they become way attainable as soon as you break it down into the stages and steps. Of, you want to know what I had to do? On one of my goals is I wanted to get to be fighting again. The first goal on that was to be able to touch my face with my right arm again, because I couldn't do this. Like, this did not exist at all. I couldn't get even close to it. And starting those steps, that's how you evaluate yourself. It's called ruthless self-assessment. It's assessing yourself in this moment in time, where you want to be and how you get there, and then assessing how much you're willing to invest into it. And if you discover that you're not willing to invest into it, change your goal. Like, no, not everybody has to be a super duke. Not everybody has to be an amazing costuming Laurel like Tulia. Like, not everybody has to be able to make calligraphy where, like, you see the skulls and the gold work in the background. You don't have to be some god to be good enough. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't need to be somebody that resets the bar to be good enough to be accepted and to be super good at what you do.
I guess we're getting a soapbox called, so.
I said Tulia. I didn't say Sarah. I said Tulia.
No, we have a soapbox called.
That's 2 for you now.
We honestly should just.
Soapbox.
I thought it was just good. It was good advice, but, everybody likes seeing us drink.
That's my feelings, is don't compare and despair. Don't set yourself up for failure by looking at yourself and being like, this is where I was. Or, oh my god, I must live up to these standards. That's fucking bullshit. Figure out what you can do and then live up to it.
Exactly.
It's good.
And don't let that scare you away from coming back. That's the other thing, is that I've seen too many people, whatever that thing is that they're doing, because of that long gap, and then they feel that distance between where they think they were and where they are now, it's too unsurmountable for them to they just quit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, instead of that, like you said, do your small steps, because it's only several small steps to get you back to where you were.
Yep.
So
yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next question? Wait a minute. We have an interruption.
So, right about now, the Lady of the Lake should be here.
All right.
Lady of the Lake.
I've always wanted to meet the Lady of the Lake. It's so exciting.
One of these days I'll introduce you. I will tell you, she'll stab you with that sword.
I bet.
You?
So it's like Lady Elaine from the show when I was a little kid with Mr. Rogers.
That was Lady Elaine Fairchild. Yeah,
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Yeah. I actually there's a Laurel in the West Kingdom that is named Elaine Fairchild because of that show. She doesn't play anymore, unfortunately. She was a pottery laurel. She was real fabulous. But yeah, that's her name.
Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah, we're going to do the next question. All right, so this is from Merrick. What anachronistic garb might you have that you know isn't period, but you love and wear without a care in the world?
Oh, give me a second. It was a delay. No, you're fine.
I have to answer that first, right?
Yeah, you go first.
I don't really know.
Do you want me to prompt you?
No, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't really know if I have any anymore.
God, I'm going to have to feed you this one because this is a really good one.
Okay, go ahead.
Dwarvish.
Oh.
They're dwarven.
Well, this was actually more of a working theory than a thing. Is that I like in my someone said earlier that I was known for my Rus and my Norse personas and stuff like that, right? And it got to where kind of people just, if I wore it, people believed it was real, and like I was like firsthand documentation, and which is not the case at all. But I decided that I kind of want to do a dwarven persona, and the idea here is to see how long it takes for other people to just start copying me doing it. And if I just have like subtle little differences that would be like Lord of the Rings dwarven versus Norse, which is not very, they're very small differences. I think that what would end up happening is it wouldn't be very long before people were documenting, dwarven brooches from the mines of Moria or something as an actual historical piece, for sure. But I do want to pursue this, and I'm into it. So.
So most anachronistic garb is I have a coat that I have since given away to one of the newbies that I love to death. It was cut as a wool coat hardy. That then ended up being a little too small, so I just left this front seam open and then put a collar on it because we hadn't cut the scoop yet, and so like put a high collar on it and then split it up the back as a riding coat. It was pretty much a black trench coat. And then I proceeded to put the Scythian animals on it. So you're talking like 14th century, like coat hardy cut, 14, almost 15th century because it was like an 8 panel, with a high fucking collar, and then the like Scythian animals on it. That coat was 100% anachronistic, and I fucking loved it.
There was like a whole time period where these type of coats were becoming super popular in the SCA, and let's be honest, they were cool. I never really had one, so I was always kind of jealous of those. I thought they were hella cool.
They're bitchin' cool, but I eventually gave away the coat because I got a pell coat which is very similar, so it's cut on a more period pattern, but it is still like it's got the whole fur ruff and then like my pelican on the back of it all embroidered down. It's fucking amazing. I love that coat, and so I gave away this other coat because my friend just adored it, and I was like, it fits you perfectly, like please stay warm.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Sassy?
It's funny. I don't have anything currently, I think, that is particularly non-historic that I wear. And probably the closest thing that I have is, I've worn it on the show a couple of times. It's kind of a tunic, sleeveless tunic, linen tunic that I wear when it's hot as fucking balls, which is often in the West Kingdom. And it's based on like literally nothing. It's in fact where I started with it was, what would a 16th century Venetian courtesan call, or like what would she wear if she were to cosplay essentially a Greek goddess? And that's where I kind of went with the genesis of this little outfit that I wear. And it's just super comfortable, and you can pry it out of my cold dead hands. I don't care. It's not based in reality at all. But yeah, like I used to have just, when I was a kid and I would show up at events and I would just kind of be like the kid in elf ears, kind of that quintessential, I'm definitely team elf ears. But I don't know. I haven't worn anything like that in decades. But
I really think that we need to have a day of just like, this is anachronistic. Like,
sure.
we are gonna, with all our skill set, we're gonna go back to like AS2 and just.
So that's what I've always wanted.
Rings it up.
I've always wanted to host a party that was like literally called like the AS2 party, which is, come dressed based on what would have been worn in AS2, which is beautifully broad. Like, that is just the entire range from like prom dresses to tea towels, So, and I think it's fun to celebrate that. I think it would be nice to be like, this is, yes, I'm wearing grandma's curtains as a toga. Fuck you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I like that idea. So maybe we'll do that as a between two peers. Welcome back to the SCA party. We'll do a host a AS come as you would be in 1966, 62. Oh, and now we have Fleeg chiming in. He said it would look just like my current garb. Yes, Fleeg, we know you've never changed.
True story.
I love that Fleeg watches the show.
Like, literally, that is one of like the best ego strokes ever, that Fleeg watches the show.
Was it Life magazine that you were in, Fleeg?
I think it was. I think it was Life Time.
Because you don't look any different except for the beard's a little grayer. Right? That was like 1972.
All right, so are we ready for the next question?
Yes, we're ready.
So, the Lady of the Lake did organize something, since I am not there right now. Oh, you're gonna have to keep pushing that in, like longer arms. There's a stand-in. The Duke of the Puddle. I just got glared at.
Oh. Way bigger than Puddle then. Pond.
So, the question presented by said individual who is standing in for the Lady of the Lake is, who is the best character on The Mandalorian, and why is your answer Cara Dune?
Oh, for sure. You mean Araya?
Too obvious. Okay, so the first time I saw Cara Dune, I immediately looked at Sarah and she was like, Araya, right? And I was like, I know, right? I was like, oh, I gotta have a drink. I gotta have a drink.
Yeah, we all need a drink on this.
But I was like, yeah, that is 100% Helga for sure. And what a great character, though. She is such a great, like, well-rounded character. She's awesome. And I think it's really cool that actress, came out of like MMA and went into acting, and then she became, now this is her best role ever, I think. And so I hope in the new starting was it October 30th we get new episodes, and I hope that Cara Dune makes a comeback.
She better be. I mean.
Also, she's signed on for 3 seasons.
How are you not going to cosplay her?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Oh, okay. Whoa, okay, hang on, breaks. So, for said Duke's birthday, I actually have a tunic. So I did the Cara Dune cosplay in Roos. And so I have the tunic and the pants and the leg wraps and everything else like that, and did her armor set in Roos in a soft kit.
You know what? We need to do that again sometime, and I'll go as Roos baby Yoda.
Okay, I'm totally good with this. So my answer for this one is I actually absolutely adore Cara Dune on this, and it's because I fangirl and totally want to be that character. Like, I'm just going to go with. She's actually who I kind of want to be as, like, just overall. And so I have my, like, Cara Dune workouts. Like, every time I'm just like, oh, man, I shouldn't work out. I'm like, nope, I need that body. Hang on. Let me go hop on my bike and pedal away. And so... but also, I think that she's one of the most, she's one of the characters that has the most depth in that entire show. Like, The Mandalorian's got some great ones. I love, like, the main character in that show that isn't Baby Yoda. The Mandalorian has some really good just ideas, and I adore that show because it's every ripoff of every Western movie ever.
Absolutely.
Like,
they own that.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah,
that's the entire point, and I just absolutely adore that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cara Dune because 1, I fangirl, and 2, I want to be that.
Yeah, well, I know I speak for me, and I want to be her too. But there's really no way in hell that'll ever happen. But She's a great role model. She's a great female role model, and I think that it's about goddamn time that the world is catching up on this.
I was about to say, come on, drop the Darksaber at the end of season 1.
I know. Also, they never followed up with the boots and the dead guy, the supposedly dead assassin guy. Yeah, you never really find out who that is. Remember, Thorfin?
Yeah, we're gonna though. We're gonna.
What's that?
We're gonna.
We're gonna. Who do you think it is?
Oh, it's Boba Fett.
You think it's Boba Fett because he's got spurs.
Only guy in Star Wars that wears spurs.
Anyways.
So I'm shaking my head because while Cara Dune is amazing, the armorer is by far the most badass.
She is pretty good.
She took out
Tell me you were hot
literally
like
a
that.
whole group with a hammer and whatever the tongs for blacksmiths are actually called. And that's it.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Oh, prongs.
Yeah,
your mic is on for this, right, baby?
Oh,
Ninja?
yes, it's on. I turned it on for this.
Okay.
100%.
Fair enough.
When you can take
Fair
out a whole squadron of troops armed with lasers, mind you, they can't hit shit, but still.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Have you ever wrestled with a farrier? Because I have, and they're assholes, and they're really, really good at what they do.
I was going to say that in my brain, my headcanon is she's Tilda Swinton, and you cannot prove to me that she is not. I don't know why. In my brain, that's Tilda Swinton in there, in that armor. But yeah, the armor is pretty cool. But I like Cara Dune. I gotta say, Cara Dune, she's badass.
I actually really want to do a heavy kit that's Cara Dune. Like,
You
I just want to do it.
You should. That would be fun. All right, should we
I
move
will
on to the next
100% make a
question?
Mandalorian heavy kit and we can do this.
Alright, so yeah, what's the next question?
I don't know. What is the next question?
Oh, it's your turn. No, it's my turn.
No, it's your turn.
Oh, this is my favorite question of the show, just so you all know. Be prepared, have your drinks handy. This comes from Her Majesty of Elizabeth of Ainvelt. If you were if you were in charge of the SCA, what members only content would you want to provide? What would you do to make membership dues more worthwhile?
Well, I mean, I gotta be honest. I grew up in the SCA where the membership thing wasn't really a big deal until they came up with a pay to play, and then literally the West Kingdom threatened to quit. So I mean, I don't really. I think that I miss actually having a physical copy of the newsletter. I thought that was great. Besides the fact that you have to be a member, I don't really get a lot out of the membership of the SCA, excluding the fact that it's a great club. And but I don't really feel like I give the money to it to make sure all of the stuff like the insurance and everything is covered. That's why I do it. But how would I improve this? I don't even really know. I mean, I think that there's things you could do to make the populace happier, but I don't really know how the SCA membership wise works into that. So, but
I mean, one of the things that we've talked about over time has been how to actually make the value in holding office better.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. That for me, that's what I mean. Is that has that less to do, I think, with the membership of the SCA and more about the connectivity between the crown and their officers. And I think that there's something that we could easily do, at least here in the West. I don't know how. I got a drink, I guess, because I said the West, right? When I started winning crowns, I tried to come up with ideas of something to do, right? Like what? I never wanted to make an award because there was always awards I thought that covered everything. Or maybe sometimes too many awards, like there were redundant awards. So we didn't need to add stuff to the book just to have my name in the book, right? But what I did think was ways to make like the people that are especially like the kingdom officers, the greater officers, especially, I think they do so much for the SCA that people don't maybe really know that they're doing because they do it for 2 years at a time. So you're looking at a time period where they're going through multiple crowns and the crowns are coming and going, but the same people doing all the work to maintain all of the kind of the level of the kingdom. And one of the things we should have done would have been to maybe say, how about we give them a free parking spot, like a reserved parking spot for, the greater officers. It doesn't cost the kingdom anything. And it makes those people feel special. At least they have something, right? And how about we just buy the kingdom just pays for their site fee? We're only talking about kingdom level events that they're required to be at. That's what, 4 events a year that they're required to be at? Maybe 8. Even if it's 8, that's no loss for the kingdom, because it's not like we're losing money on that person. It's just as if they never came, right? Cost, cash wise. And what this does is we're talking about tiny little things that you can do to make people feel valued in a way that would then recharge them, or at least make them feel like they're doing something for a reason, right? And I think that this is important, an easy thing to do. But every single time I wanted to do something like this, it would get derailed by something like having to banish someone because they're a bad person, and then that would become like the predominant thing that you end up focusing on, during your reign, or other things, not even bad things, but just other things became kind of distracting, and to the point where you can never get these things achieved in the times I was in charge of the offices there. And I wish that I could have done that. I think that would have been something, I think that could have been a long-lasting thing to add value to these people's experience. Even like a small thing will make someone maybe feel like they're valued enough to stay for another 2 years in the SCA. And that's what we need to do. We need to remember to give everyone kind of the recognition they deserve, for God's sakes. That makes way more sense. Thank you for directing me to it.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So little backs channel talk always goes on between me and Helga, especially when we're trying to choose questions. And this has actually come up on the Discord, asking how we pick the questions and whatnot. And Helga and I really do try to get questions for our guests that kind of fall into their wheelhouse. And since Thorfin and I live together, I've had a lot of lengthy conversations with him about this stuff. And when when Her Majesty posed this question, I was like, oh, that's a good one. He has thoughts. So we always try to make our guests look good by giving you guys stuff that you can answer easily.
I appreciate it. I need all the help I can to look good. But that being said, I maybe I didn't catch the meaning of her original statement, but having it couched in the way that you said it made me go on to my rant. So I don't know if that's a soapbox or not, but I mean, it's a fucking hill.
You just said the word rant. I think that counts as soapbox.
Okay, it's a soapbox. It doesn't really sound ranty.
For me, that's like a thing that like really, really could be a thing that the hill I'll die on. Is I'd love to do something for those people that do all the hard work, the weightlifters.
Yeah.
So
Helga, to those of you also. Carius behind the scenes, this was pointing out, sometimes it's upwards of 4 years for people
if they can't find a replacement.
Well, sometimes you can't find somebody to relieve you, and you're stuck there. Yeah, and Carius was web minister for the West Kingdom for 4 years, 5 years, a billion years, who knows? Because it had no one was willing to step up to the plate. Now we have the lovely Reese, and he is the fabulous web minister. So it finally got passed on. But it is oftentimes, if you don't have somebody to drop in when your term is done, you just kind of stay. You kind of are stuck with it. Yes, Thorfin.
I think when me and Attain reigned, we regularly gave, because she doesn't drive, we regularly gave up our parking spots, and we would tell the greater officers they could have them.
Yeah.
I remember that anyway. I don't know if it happened.
Helga?
Hey, I read the question. You get to answer before I
did. Okay. Well, I think that my answer is there are saying thank you. I think oftentimes thank you gets lost. Either, and I don't want to attribute it to malice. And I don't want to attribute it to stupidity. I think a lot of times, a lot of things are going on a ton of times when you're in charge all at once. You're dealing with a million things that thank yous are one of the easiest things to fall off the plate to remember to do when you're putting out fires everywhere else. But to just remember, even if you have to set a reminder on your phone to buzz you, have you said thank you yet? To your seneschal, to your site coordinator, to your autocrat, to your feast person. Have you just said thank you to somebody that's doing something like sitting at gate? Doesn't even have a role or a position that they're in. They're just volunteering. And you don't have to be in a position of power to remember to say thank you. You can be like just any old person walking by and seeing somebody doing something and say, hey, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing. And it's hard. And that's the problem. We all get absorbed into our little worlds and focused on the thing that we need to do. That can be really easy to forget. But to kind of try to remind yourself, and when you're in a situation, you have a moment to seek somebody out and say thank you. And I think honestly, at least for me, a thank you is one of the things that can heal a ton of wounds. A simple thank you. And it doesn't have to be in front of people, it doesn't have to be in court, it doesn't have to be like an award. It can just be literally somebody coming up to me and saying, hey, I saw you doing that thing. Thank you so much. Helga?
Okay, so if I was in charge of the SCA, and we're going to start with, y'all are fucked. What would members-only content... So there's members-only content, and what I would make memberships be. Memberships would be voting bodies. So right now, our bod is basically elected through its own bod. I would actually scratch that. And members... So right now, actually... We're going to back this bus up for a moment. Our memberships are not actually real memberships. We're more like paying to go to a museum. So it's like buying an all-access pass to a museum. And you can go into that museum, and while you're in that museum, you must follow the museum's rules. And you pay a little less to get through the gate. That's it. It's more like reduced cost for participation. And maybe a little special perks. That's what it is. We don't have true membership in the SCA. So what I would do is I would reverse that. I would actually make all paid members voting. And those voting members would deal with who got voted into the bod. And so I would take it from, it's very close to, right now the bod is very close to what we would class as an oligarchy. Because the bod votes bod members in or out. That's how that works. Our memberships do not pay for any control of that system. And so that's the first thing I would nuke and change, is I would make it so if you're a paid member, you have voting. So every couple of years when, bod memberships came up and everything else like that, you as a paid member would have a vote into who is sitting on the bod. I feel that this would make the bod more connected to what the current situations are. I feel that it would reduce some of the stress between, and like the division between the bod and the populace members. And it would give power to everybody that paid in. So that's number one. Number two, paid members would have access to content that non-paid members would not. So like you have like when you get to the National Geographic level and you go pay for member content, there are members only articles that are released and sent to you. There are member-only classes that are released and sent to you. So there is stuff that you get first access to. You get first right of refusal to. And then it goes out to the non-paid members. But there is a lag time. So you basically get the first thing. And so I would start organizing classes and everything else like that. And you could even, if you wanted to, make it a tiered system. Members do not pay for this class. So if you're doing a class on like Shield Painting 101. Like, I'm going to do a really stupid class, so please just roll with this. Shield Painting 101. Paid members, $0 to get into this class. Non-paid members pay $1 to get into the class. So that's it. That's like the difference. So it's very small, but it gives you the ability to feel like your membership pays for something. It gives your ability, it gives your membership an actual membership versus a participation. Because basically right now we're paid participants versus non-paid participants. That's actually the difference right now. And so I would actually full on like blow it up to membership. You get votes in the bod. You get votes in your regional council and officers. And also, one of the things that I would do is if you are a officer right now, so if you are a kingdom or a principality officer, Your membership is automatically paid. The SCA pays for your membership. Point blank, period. You are giving your time to the SCA. You are sacrificing hours and hours and hours of your life to make sure that we as a nonprofit organization work. Fuck anybody that says that they should be paying their memberships. Their memberships should be paid for as a little, like, thank you for giving us so much of your time to make sure we go and work and function. Like, reverse the process. You shouldn't have to pay to be an officer. That should be covered. End of story. Because right now, you have to pay to be an officer, you have to pay to be a baron, you have to pay to be royalty. Like, sorry, if you're sacrificing your life to make sure this organization goes along and the dream works, you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would answer that, is paid members should have access to content and should have those things, and we should have a vote in who is running and writing our laws.
Thorfin, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm going to say I'll pay for whoever the Seneschal is right now's next year membership.
That's Gavin.
Okay.
Baron
Let me
Gavin.
know and
Well,
I'll send
reach
in the
out
money.
to him.
I think that's something we could all do, and we should just put a fund together. It should be like a kingdom fund people pay into, and it'd take care of the whole problem for us, because I think you're right. That is something that is important. I think we should. That's another way of valuing those people.
And Thorfin, I'll double down with you. If one of our officers needs their membership paid, I will pay for a baronial level membership for one of those officers, because the baronial levels are where we get most of our newcomers, those officers should not be having to pay for a general membership so they can do that job. Like 100%, I will back you on that. If you want to cover a kingdom one, I will cover a baronial one.
Guys. Wow, we just got Kingdom Exchequer news. Due to 501c3 rules, it is not allowed to pay for memberships in any circumstances per West Kingdom Exchequer.
Okay, cool. So the
corporation can't, but people
SCA can't pay for it. However, we can.
Yeah, I was going to say.
A donation, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll talk about it.
I like Kendall just chimed in. She said, "I'll pay for the next year of the Orth and Exchequer membership." I am the Orth and Exchequer. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm sorry, I'm derailing this for a moment. We have a break coming up. Before the break, however, I want to just put out to all of our followers and tell other people, there are multiple membership drives going on right now. There are multiple different ways to have your membership paid for. If you are in a hardship right now, if you are an officer during the pandemic, there's a kingdom level, there's a principality level, and there's also one being done out of, I believe, the East Kingdom right now to help people pay for their memberships while the pandemic is going on. Please, please, please reach out to us. I will make sure that you get the right connection to get to those membership drives, because if you can't pay for it for a financial reason, there is a lot of us willing to step up and pay for a membership right now to make sure that you are covered, because where we can, we will help you do it.
Yep.
I agree.
So,
we're lucky we can help to assist, or assist, help to anyway. Words hard. Let's go to break.
Islamic, Greek, or Italian Renaissance, sculled or Viking kitties. We're devoted to create historically inspired ceramic art, a touch of the unique you can use all the time. Here's one of our artists working now. Hand thrown, hand painted, yet safe for food, dishwasher, microwave, and oven. Rennick Tane, which is Gaelic for start fire in reference to the heat of the kilns, the mother-daughter team with 6 degrees and a myriad of art awards between them, and a healthy amount of humor to bring it all together. Visit our website at rennictane.com or join us on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Are we live again?
Shit. Hi.
Okay, cool. So while everybody's coming back, like, we're just gonna start entertaining you guys in between, like, the various breaks that happen, and so then we can just make fun of Thorfin.
Well,
I mean,
so
that's like.
my mic is hot. To address chat, Doggo has gotten all the treats. She no longer gets any. She's had about 17 today, so I'm cutting her off.
I'm sorry, we're only at 40 likes, and every 5 likes is a doggo treat.
No, it
so
was 20.
suck it up,
It was
baby,
20. It was every 20.
Now we're gonna change it to 5. Come on.
Yeah, we're changing
I'm
it
gonna
to
go
5. So
broke
for every
buying poor
5
Doggo
likes-
treats.
I'm sorry, then stack them up for tomorrow. So for every 5 more likes on this video, his doggo gets a treat, and she's doggo cam every time. Like, we should be spoiling this doggo.
She's the hardest working doggo on Between Two Peers.
Can't even with you guys.
I'm pretty sure that she's actually the favorite character of Between Two Peers.
I think it's between her and the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah,
we live?
I don't believe.
Yes,
Yes,
we're
we're
live.
live. Yeah, we are live. Thorfin the Cruel, we are live.
So are we ready for the next question?
Let's go back to the next question. All right.
That one's on you, Sassy.
What's that?
That one's on you.
I know. So this one comes from Calbard. What does fealty mean to you?
Let me make sure I'm. Okay. Well, fealty to me is as a like kind of a joint connectivity between you and the crown. And what it is it's kind of an oath of service for you as well as them. It's a two-way road, though. You have to have them commit to giving to you, and you will then give back to that. And I think that as long as you're getting this two-way road like that, fealty is I don't know. For me, it's I kind of have to have it, right, in order to feel that I'm getting like the whole thing out of the SCA. I've never had a crown, in my opinion, ever break fealty with me. So I mean, I've had some that I was like questionable, and I'm sure I've done things that were questionable. But at the same time, I've never thought that any of those roads were so broken that I wasn't feeling that I was achieving that two-way road. So for me, it's connectivity to the crown and protection of the crown, while also providing the service to the crown. So, go ahead.
So for me, fealty is an agreed upon contract.
Sure.
It's a negotiated contract. So within the scope of the SCA, as a pelican, a laurel, or not a laurel, I really want to be a laurel, but I'm not. As a peer, but pelican, knight, rose, there are different fealty contracts that come along with those. A knight is almost what I consider blind fealty. We swear fealty no matter what. And in that oath, we swear to the crown, not the person wearing the crown. But we swear that oath no matter what. That's the reason why the chain exists. The chain is the burden of fealty. Of sometimes we may not agree with our crown, but we are still sworn in fealty to them. And that is also where part of our oath comes in of to speak or be silent. Sometimes part of our oath is to speak against what the crown is doing.
Sure.
And our fealty, I'm going to be a jackass for a moment, and everybody can yell at me in the comments. So please prep yourselves. Our fealty is the heaviest because it is not optional. And so that to speak or to be silent ends up being a heavy, weird thing where we can speak against our king or our crown and what they are doing, and if they say shut up and do it, we must do it or surrender our fealty. So we must surrender our chain. Versus a lot of all the other peerages, which I would totally change, by the way. All the other peerages are opt-in. So they have the ability to opt out of swearing fealty to a crown, incoming or outgoing or any part of the reign. They have the ability to back out of that relationship. So it's much more like dating versus being a knight is a little bit more like marriage. And so there's a contract with it. And literally, if I could like poof change one thing in the SCA, I would hand every peerage a chain. Every single one. Welcome to being a peer. Here's your fealty chain. And the weight of a fealty chain is sometimes you must stand between your crown and the populace and understand you're still in fealty to the crown, which is in fealty to the populace. So your ultimate goal is to protect them from the crown, but you must do it in such a manner to honor that oath. And it is bullshit and terrible and also amazing. And so that is the one thing that, like, if I could just like snap my fingers and change in the SCA, a fealty chain would come with every peerage.
Mm-hmm.
You should never have to opt into. You should, as a peer, never have the option of being in fealty or not.
Thorfin,
protect your crown and protect your populace. That's your motherfucking oath.
Word.
Yeah, I think the three of us here are pretty much in agreement on the if we could do it over again and restructure the peerages, they would all come with a mandatory fealty oath, and I feel it's incumbent on me, mandatory just for myself, to swear fealty, but I do know that I do not have the same. If I decide not to, nobody's going to be like, I didn't see Tulia swear fealty. And, it's not really going to happen. It's just going to be like, oh, Tulia had a migraine or she's taking a nap and she'll get to it later. Whatevs. Like, I swear fealty with the crowns and the principalities, the crown and the Principality of the Mists, because I live in the Principality of the Mists. And the Principality of the Mists, I actually feel a little bit less obligated to swear for, but I like the formality of it, and I like that it's sort of like renewing my vows, and so I do, and I like to remind myself that it is this is something that's really important to me, and I take very seriously. So I really want to try to uphold that as much as I can. But I know nobody's holding the metaphorical gun to my head to do it the way the knights kind of have that that done. But anyways, guys got any more thoughts on that one?
Yeah, and so I just want everybody to know that I understand that I'm a weird paladin extremist in my view of fealty. So I do not expect my view of fealty to be applied to everybody else. Like, I realize this is where I'm just like, oh, this is 100% where I am a couple levels down in the extremist chain of what fealty means. I take fealty stupid level serious. Like, stupid level serious. I am a knight, whether I am in an event or not. That oath is to my dying day. And if I cannot fulfill that oath, I will surrender my chain and my belt and my spurs in all manners and fashion. It's not. So we're just gonna say for a moment, I understand that I am on the end of the bell curve about fealty.
I think I think we all in this particular episode sort of are too. So yes, Thorfin.
I would also like to point out that, like, I value the SCA style of fealty versus the medieval style of fealty, which is vastly different, guys. And that would be like a whole thing we could talk about for a very long time, because you could have various layers of fealty in actual medieval. And in modern medieval, I'm more of a extremist, where I see fealty is a thing that is like, it's required of me as to do, but it's different than it would have been if I was a real medieval knight. And so, and I think that those are things that the SCA does beautifully. Is a lot of times we're the ideal, right, or wanted ideal. Sometimes we fail, but I think that that's something we should always remember, is that there is like because I'm a history nerd, right? So like none of my medieval knights would have thought that what I just said was accurate. They would have been like, bullshit, only kind of works sometimes, and stuff like that. So there you go. I just wanted to throw in that there's a little bit of like the modern versus the medieval.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
We good with that question?
Yeah, we actually had one come in that is super interesting that if we can hit it at the end of the show, I would like to.
Sure. I was just going to say, now we're going to get all the hate mail, but, you know.
No, actually, everybody drink. Emily.
Asa.
Asa, thank you. Sent in the question of what do you do then for incoming peers who cannot swear fealty for religious reasons?
Mm.
And so if we have time, I would love to hit that at the end of the show.
Okay. We can do that. All right. Next one's yours, Helga.
Cannot pronounce this name still.
Angus.
Angus. All right. What was a moment you saw in the SCA that has made you want to be a better person, and why?
Oh, I think probably my first knighting was pretty amazing. I was at Sir Michael's son Sever's knighting, and it was incredible. Just the idea of like the whole connectivity of like the seeing the crown and then the humble, new knight and all of this ceremony and all of those things made me so connected and cared about. Like I fucking cry, right? I cry all the time. I cried last night watching fucking Parks and Rec. So let's not get too weird about that.
No, what it was when you climbed into bed and we had to listen to Garnet Rogers, and that's when it all came out.
That's private. That's private. But I think that those type of things, those magical moments, have always, you encounter them in the SCA, and they're like the perfect thing where maybe you're sitting at the campfire and there's a moonlight and there's nothing modern, and you see that person. Those things make you want to do better and try and like do more. Like how can we make more of these things? How can we make more of these like perfect like fragments of a time? Like seeing warriors. I remember one time seeing warriors and fog rolling over the top of the hill, and it's like how do we do this more? And so that's kind of that stuff I think.
We just got a comment come in from our sister show, Ask the Knights Live. Logan actually asked, do you cry as much as Fergus? And I'm going to say it's probably about the same amount.
Close.
Maybe
Close.
Slightly more.
Fergus is only a little more than me.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. He's a big crybaby, that guy. Makes me look like a hard-hearted harbinger of haggis. I don't know, but someone who doesn't care.
Harriet. Let's see. My answer to that question. What do I see that makes me want to be better? So what moment you saw in the SCA that has made you want to be a better person? It's not one moment. I can't pinpoint one moment. I can't sit down and say, oh, yes, that was the defining moment. There were so many of these little accumulative moments of just magical, or somebody doing the right thing at the right time, someone being a class act in a really shitty situation where I keep thinking to myself, I really want to be like that person. I really want to just try to emulate that in my life and in the SCA. So I can't really put my finger on one particular thing. Nothing leaps out at me. I think that there's so many other moments that I could actually elaborate on, but we would be here for another 2 hours and nobody wants to listen to that. So I'm going to turn this over to Helga.
A moment that I saw in the SCA that made me want to be a better person, and why, was the shattering of gender roles, and especially the toxic ones. Of seeing the knights cry at another knighting. Seeing the Laurels actually are a huge example of this, is where we talked in a couple shows ago about how there's like these weird paths that are actually toxic gender roles. Of like Laurels are expected to be feminine, Pelicans are expected to be bossy, Knights are expected to be masculine. The mods are still developing it, and so I won't speak to that. Roses are expected to be feminine. However, within those roles, we see the shattering of them. And I would like to highlight the Knights and Laurels in this. In the Laurels, we see very masculine men who have also mastered an art and are still considered masculine and very, like forthright, and like you think of that like that's a dude, and also like that's also a Laurel. And then you see the knights crying and hugging each other when they're welcoming a new brother or sister, or like when we lose somebody, and you see the knights crumble to that. So what I'm actually going to say is I'm going to highlight one of the best things about the SCA is that we see the shattering of norms all the time, where you can be masculine and feminine at the same time, and that makes me want to be a better person. And I will speak to this because I bought into the fact that I had to be masculine to be seen as a knight or a knight candidate. And then the more I knew the knights, the more I understood that masculine nature was fucking bullshit. That Thorfin and I have sat over a table and cried over literally just the perfect moment where we have looked at this and looked out upon the warfield where like the fog is rolling in, it's 2 a.m. and both of us are a little too drunk, but we sat and cried over the idea that this is our dream at this moment in time. And both of us being like, we're the tough fighters, also could have that moment. And we had that moment with like 15 people. And I have seen knights cry over small things. I've seen them cry over big things. I have seen Laurels be super feminine and super masculine. And so what I'll say is the thing that made me want to be better in the SCA is accepting everybody for who they are and what they're experiencing at that time. And that is one of the coolest things, because instead of trying to put myself in a box and I must be this thing to be accepted by this subgroup in the SCA, I got to be exactly myself. And the deeper I got in the SCA, the more that became the reality. And so when you're in the mid-ground of the SCA and you feel like you need to be in a box to be accepted, it's bullshit. You are buying a weird-ass middle ground lie that doesn't exist. Because when you get into the upper end of the SCA, I'll tell you that everybody tries to be themselves to the point of like, holy shit, this flower is so pretty and I'm having tears about it. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman or anybody else. Like, that's a thing. And so if I could culminate this question and just give it to everybody, I would. The SCA will shatter gender norms and what it means to be masculine and feminine and still good at what you do.
Cool.
So there's no weird answer to that one.
No, it's totally. I'm reading the chat right now too. It's really fascinating. But yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on that one, Thorfin?
No, I think we all covered that pretty well. I really liked what Helga said there. That was nice. Yeah. I agree with that. And it's okay to just be you. And matter of fact, don't wait till you're a peer to think that way. Start being you at the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. All right.
Please don't learn it the hard way like I did.
Right.
I think it's a journey for everybody, though. I mean, it's a process. Everybody's on their own path. Everybody takes their own time on their own path.
If I can give you a shortcut on that path.
What's that?
If I can give you a shortcut, I will. That's one of them, right? To say, like, don't get caught up in this like idea of like gender bullshit. Just be you and do your path. So.
Yeah. Or just don't get caught up in the bullshit of all the other bullshit in society.
Oh yeah, that's all bullshit you can.
Yeah, whether it's gender constructs or it's anything else that we're kind of like shoved down our throats from the time we pop out of the birth canal until we die. The best thing about the SCA, in my opinion, is that we can challenge all of that and we can change all of that and we can practice that. We can perform it until it feels more natural. And going back into the real world where it feels alien, they're wrong. Yes, I've drank the Kool-Aid. All right. So after making that super weird, I'm going to go to the next question. This one's super easy. Everybody in here can talk about this except for me. Tell me about your tattoos.
Oh, geez. Okay. I don't even know how many I have now. Probably 10, something like that. My first tattoo I got, I went to Ireland and just traveling. and I went to Newgrange, which was a megalithic tomb, and it had this capstone, which is bigger than a car, okay, that is entirely carved with spirals. It's this 3 spiral design you see very common in kind of Irish art now. When we're talking like priest, this is early Stone Age, megalithic, right? And so it just became kind of symbolic of their entire culture. But this culture we know nothing about, and this stone carved with other stones is entirely covered with this 3 spiral design.
A Triskel.
Triskel, yeah. And I don't want to go into technical details, but anyway, so my point was that it was like really this moving moment. I went to this place, it was so beautiful, and it was really like a connectivity to the past, you know, this whole thing. And when I came home, I designed a tattoo, which is on my shoulder here. And I had Oddvar do it on a CAD machine, I think, where it's a vector drawing. So it was like infinitely scalable. But it's a 3 spiral design with, I think the tattoo should be organic to the body shape of the area it's going to be. And so, like, I've always thought it was funny when you see guys that look like they had just like someone stuck a drawing there on their arm, like they didn't have fucking like sketch paper at home or something, right? Like this is where it had to go, right? You know, and so it covers my shoulder and it's round because that area is round, and then all these things kind of fell into place after that, and it was a long time actually before I got another one. I have one around my calf that is interwoven dragon design from Norse style art. And inside of it, it says in runes, it says the motto of my fighting fellowship, which is Quisque custodiet quimque in Latin, which means, each shall watch the other. Similar to the phrase, who watches the watchman, right? But we are focused on watching each other. So that was, and it says it in English and in Latin, through it in runes, and I found documentation for Latin and runes. Hold on, I'm gonna say my throat's drying out here. And then I have a couple that ended up becoming like commemorative pieces. Like I have one for Duke Matthias. And,
show them.
And
this is the idea. Just roll your sleeve up, dude.
This one here, which is a Norse M rune, right, for Matthias, and it has the flowers from the kings of the Rohan. So these symbol moon is the name of the flower, and it means never forgotten. And then I've got my boar on my arm here, which is me and Ob. And then I've got Helgi's wolf. And then I've got my squire's raven. And then I've got a spear here, which commemorates Brenos, because he has a spear tattoo, as well as Ob, because it's got the 2 boar heads. And there's a couple others coming, but I can't get any until after apparently I can play pieces again. So we're waiting, but they all have some kind of personal meaning to me, and they're also artistically all within the same kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, guys.
Helga, you gonna do a striptease?
No, I am totally not taking off my tunic on camera. Not that.
Okay.
So I've got almost a full sleeve of Scythian tattoos, and I have a half sleeve. It's a half sleeve and a full sleeve, and it's all the way across my back. And so my tattoos for me are moments in time. And so, like my calves, I have a Celtic knotwork across my calves, and they're my brother, my dad, my mom, and me, and all of them are represented in the animals that affected my childhood. And so we did wildlife rehab, and so I grew up with like deer in my front, in my living room, and crows, and we did rehab on various baby birds. We did foxes. At one point, I tackled a golden eagle as a child. I will tell you that is an extremely scary experience because those fuckers will tear you apart. But all of my tattoos represent like transitions in my life. They represent people in my life, even if those people are gone. And so I regret none of my body work because they are moments in time that were changing. And so I have I have images of people that are tattooed on me in various animal forms. So typically it's just the Scythian form because I am 100% obsessed on that. But they all represent people. So I have one for Mari, who was my first knight. I have one for the horse, which has always been an animal in my life that was safe and sacred. That is like my... Me and horses, I can go off for hours on that, so I'm just gonna skip past that. And then I have the most tropey tattoo on the planet. I'm just gonna say right now, I literally on the inside of my right arm have "Live Never to Regret" tattooed on me.
I don't know why I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it's the one that the raven surrounds. Actually,
right.
so it's like the secondary. It's like I had it done in a circle tattoo. And most people look at that tattoo and they're like, well, you should always be conscious of what you do. Living never to regret means that you look back on the mistakes that you made in life and you learn from them. Regret comes from a moment in time when you choose not to learn from the lessons that you were given.
No regrets.
So it is a constant reminder to just take in the moment and be like, check, this sucks, or I fucked up, or something else like that. And that's the reason why. And it's actually one of my favorite tattoos to this day, because it reminded me to just continue going forward, learn from the lessons of the past, and be a better human.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of covered in ink. I think and there's more happening soon.
I don't have tattoos. I wanted to get a tattoo when I was like, as soon as I turned 18, and then I had too long to think about it, and talked myself out of it, and and you don't even want to know what the tattoo was. It was pretty bad. But and I'm glad actually I didn't get that tattoo. But I've had a hard time trying to figure out anything that I want to live with on my body for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know. To me, I have like weird OCD issues with symmetry, so it has to be in like an exact spot, somewhere symmetrical. And all of this like weird stuff that, Thorfin and Helga are probably like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're weird. You would have these issues. That said, like, I'm kind of starting to think, like, as soon as we get over this bullshit, maybe it is time. Maybe it's time to just fucking suck it up and get some tattoo, something. But nope, it wasn't a fairy. It was not a fairy. It was nothing. In fact, it would be okay, fine. It was the Misfit skull. I really wanted to get the Misfit skull.
Dude, you should still get that.
Yeah.
I can't do that now. But
Henry Rollins has that tattoo. It's dope.
Who does?
Henry Rollins.
Yeah, so did Cliff Burton from Metallica, who was like my favorite.
No.
So, anyways, yeah, I kind of had
You get
a little too much.
the skull.
What's that?
I'll do a fairy if you do a skull. I'll do a fairy like in my underwear line or something.
I mean, if you want that, like you go, you do you. I don't really want a skull on me anymore.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, so Thorfin, what do I need to get tattooed for you to have a fairy on you?
Oh God.
Oh shit, I don't know. We'll see. I have to think about it. Give me a figure it out.
Okay, because I was about to say, if you need a skull tattooed on me, that's super fucking easy.
Right. No, I don't need that. I was just trying to ease my lady's, assuage some of her fears and stuff there. So.
Right.
Yeah, but now I'm just gonna dogpile onto this one and be like, okay, so you fairy tattoo, what's the price I've got to pay to make sure that happens?
So I'm not afraid of getting a tattoo. I have no needle phobias whatsoever. I just have the phobia I have is being stuck with something on my body forever. Like, that's my weird hang up about tattoos. I can't just like, oh God, I really regret getting this. Just erase it. No, you can't do that. You're like, oh, well, I'm stuck with this shitty tattoo that I decided to get, when I was drunk.
For what, another like 30, 40 years, whatever. Like, this body is recyclable.
OCD.
Okay, fair enough. I don't have that problem, so I can't really even speak.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like I said, the one thing about the pandemic, it really has kind of nudged me into the fuck it, life is short do it
Ain't that a fact?
now because this is all you got. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Next question.
All right, so it's a bonus question, but first, I'm just going to put a call out of we have a thumbs down on the video, and I totally want to know who it is and why. So.
Whoever it is, you guys.
I bet it's about the fealty thing.
Probably. You know what? Hate mail. Send us hate mail. We want to hear your hate mail.
Come on.
But just sign it. Have the balls to sign
How
it.
bad was the fealty stuff? It seemed pretty normal.
Oh, well. Anyways.
We've actually totally gotten, like, you guys aren't appropriate mail before, which is super funny. Because there's a reason why there's a warning going into the show.
Yeah.
It's literally a voluntary show to watch.
Yeah, we're not just forcing you.
Not required to watch.
Oh my god, we have 2 thumbs down. Oh, you people are really shitty.
I want to know who.
Yeah, you're never going to know because they're cowards and they won't back it up with their names. Anyway, let's move on.
So the last question of the evening before we wrap the show up, again, is a super solid question asked onto the show. Hans asks, why do you hate hay bales?
Wait, hay bales? Yeah, because I'm not allowed to stand on them, obviously. They're always 2 is infinitely tall, and 1 is sometimes you can be on it, and no, I don't actually know why. Have I stressed that I don't like hay bales in the past? I think I probably have, but no. I guess if we're talking about battlefield stuff, is I think everything should always be as is. Like if it's too high and you can still fight over it, then you can fucking fight over that. If it's, I hate the idea of going onto a field where a bunch of Warhammer gamers have come up with the idea that that they're going to divide it up where this is a forest because they got 3 bales of hay standing upright and we can't do stuff over there. But I was like, why don't we just have it? Because I'll be honest, these fighters are stupid. Once the helmet goes on, our IQ drops drastically. And so as soon as you lay on, we are not going to remember all the minutia of all these rules that just happened. And so it's best to make battlefields actually like they are, and then just let that happen organically. But if that's not what we were talking about, I mean, I don't particularly hate bales of hay, but I think that they're used weird.
Helga, I can't answer this question.
You can't answer the question? Like, really? I could probably...
I don't hate hay bales. I don't hate hay bales. Like, I mean, I tripped over one of them like one time in the dark when I was drunk coming back from like one camp to the next camp. I mean, that's like pretty much...
I mean, so you can say that you hate hay bales because they're, below your line of sight and then cause an issue.
Amazingly enough, yes, most hay bales are below my line of sight. So I don't hate them. I don't know. Like, I mean, they're prickly when you sit on them. They poke your butt. Like, that's annoying. I don't have a hay allergy. I'm kind of ambivalent to their very existence. So
I mean, I've had really great experiences with hay bales too. So I mean,
yes.
They're all bad.
We actually just got a private message sent in. I hate hay bales because people fuck on them, and I don't know which one it is.
Well, we also had Soren commenting in the live chat on YouTube. He hates them because Thorfin pees on them.
I do not pee on them. I pee on the field. I never pee on hay bales. That's rude. I pee on the field, though, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, guys, there's a very good chance that on any battlefield you've ever been on, I've probably peed on it. So.
I was about to say, Thorfin, you're the reason why I've never fucked on a warfield, because I'm pretty sure that at some point it would be like in your spot, and I'm just not okay with that.
Well, you know what? You do you, girl. But I know where I go, and I'm not doing it like in the middle, kind of off to the left. So.
I like how it's off to the left. It's not off to the right or like off on the edge. It's off to the left.
Sure, that's where I go. My side, depending on which direction I'm crossing the battlefield. So maybe don't do that. I don't know. That's my point.
Okay, so why do I hate hay bales? One, Horse chick, I have handled more hay bales than most people ever. So why do I hate hay bales in the SCA? I'm gonna like narrow my scope down just a little bit. One is because I can't stand people not knowing how to move hay. It's really easy, especially straw hay. Straw hay is about 60 to 75 pounds a bale. Park it on your thighs and just walk with it. You grab the 2 outer strings. You grab the strings that are the furthest away from you, you roll it towards you, and then you park it on your thighs and you put it wherever you need to go. If you don't have a set of hay hooks, occasionally leave it to the professionals. I always have a set of hay hooks in my truck because, the ranch girl never dies. But also, why I hate hay bales in the SCA is straw is the worst thing to fuck on. I'm just going to tell you. That's going to leave splinters, and it's going to get stuck in your clothes. Everybody's going to know what you did, okay? There is no... you're going to walk back into camp, and you're going to think, oh, I just suddenly walked out to the field and, had a quickie on the warfield. No. You are now marked. That hay bale just, like cat hair, just put itself upon you. We all know what you did. Nobody is, none of us are that dumb, okay? None of us are that dumb. Except the 2 people fucking on the hay bale. That's where it is. Apparently, as you walk towards a hay bale, your IQ drops. And you think that you're going to get away with something. Nope, that hay bale, like cat hair, okay? So just to know why I hate hay bales, there is no place to fuck on the warfield that Thorfin hasn't gone pee, or a hay bale will leave a marker on you. You cannot be an exhibitionist in the SCA with those 2 things.
Yeah, it's like sugar from Cafe Du Monde, right? I mean, we all know you went to Cafe Du Monde, you're covered in fucking sugar, right?
Yep.
So
or cocaine. I don't know. Just cocaine.
Yeah, or you're way too flip it with your cocaine, one of the 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like them because I think they're used weirdly in the SCA, and they're like you said, they are terrible to fuck on. But I've sat on a lot of them. I know how to carry them, and as a matter of fact, Alden and I bought hay hooks for the Kingdom, and the ones that used to be in the Kingdom trailer, we bought because we got tired of. I was like, guys, they literally have a tool for this. You pick up and carry it, right? I mean, hay hooks, that's things. But
so it's one of those things that I hate hay bales more because of noobs. If you ever want to learn how to throw around a hay bale, I'll teach you how to do it. Just don't fuck on hay. By the way, also that's a terrible way to get splinters.
I think she's right.
Hard no.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to interject. We had one our dear cohort show, Ask the Knights, wants us to ask this one question to you guys, and I hope you don't mind if I just throw it in here now. We cool?
I got nothing else to do. I mean,
okay. No, we have a lot of Stan Rogers to listen to after this, so we, it's cutting into our Stan Rogers listening time. So. Logan's question: what is your favorite quarantine web show you have been a guest on, and why is it Ask the Knights Live?
Well, I think it has to be Ask the Knights Live, right? But because
duh.
Well, I don't know. Thorfin could answer this show.
Well, that would be too easy.
True story. I love this one quite a bit. It's one of my favorites. It's on my weekly watch list as well as Ask the Knights Live. I think that all of them are amazing right now, and I'm really happy to see so much content coming out. But it's definitely Ask the Knights Live.
I'm also going to ask, I'm also going to answer the very fed-in question on this of Ask a Knights Live because I got to co-host with Brennan, who is one of my foster knights, cool. And I fucking worship the ground that man walks on, and the fact that we both got to be super sassy knights while answering questions from a bunch of squires was basically a dream come true, because both of us would occasionally just be like, oh, you're so West Coast or you're so East Coast, I need you to adjust your opinions right now, or we'd be like, yeah, that.
You know, I honestly, I gotta tell you, I also really enjoy Vespers shows.
Yeah.
The ones I've been involved with, I think, were really, really cool, but in a very different venue, like than this show. And even Astronauts Live, that one was more like kind of like three people just vomiting out information, and this one is more. I like this show because it's interactive, and it's like more like a kind of a fun like Johnny Carson.
Oh, this show? You're talking about this show and not Astro.
So I did say the reason I like the show, and I did say that, is that as I like you guys because it is more of a kind of a fun interview show, which I think is really cool to get the chance to meet a lot of these people that I don't either know super well or I'm learning to know, and I like that part, to see them how they actually are, right? Where this is like the sitting around the fire at night and we're all like had a couple of beers and we're kind of talking shit, which is fun.
As I tell everybody that asks me about the show, I'm like, pretty much we're like the lowbrow show. We're like a couple beers in, and then you show up. We're the Jerry Springer of the SCA shows.
No, I don't think we're quite Jerry.
What I'm saying is that I think it's really authentic.
Yeah.
And the other shows I've done were very structured, right? Where
there's like no.
I was specifically going to talk about one subject, and I had to kind of write a thing about every subject I was going to talk about and kind of defend my point. Right, where here I get to just hang out with people like you guys and just chat, which is fun, right? And it allows me to be authentically me, and not have to worry about like how some information I'm trying to extol to someone is interpreted. Instead, I'm just talking with two of my friends, and that's what I think this is really good about this show, and that's probably why everyone loves this show so damn much.
We enjoy it. Like I said, this is all about amusing ourselves, really. I mean, I'm thrilled other people.
The biggest fans of the show for sure. But
anyway. Okay, well, and with that, what we're going to do is we're going to move to the wrap-up of the show.
Yeah.
And so, now that we're through the questions, does anybody have anything else they want to say before we go to show plugs and merchants?
I think we already plugged shows.
Pretty much, we actually did. So we basically beat me to the end wrap-up here.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna plug terribly, and this is a super self-serving plug. I'm gonna say check out the Known World Entertainment Guide.
Yes.
A bunch of people came together and we have made a site that has a visual guide, that has a spreadsheet, and that also has a Google Calendar. Thank you, Sylvie. About all the online content. So it's the online content that is submitted to us. We don't go hunt down online content. It's all the stuff that's submitted to us. But we have a ton of stuff every month that's submitted. We try to make sure that it's out there and very available. So you can go find classes, you can find the online events, you can find the shows. It is both official and unofficial stuff for the SCA, and so please go check out the Known World Entertainment Guide. It is a huge resource for what's going on.
Yeah.
Sassy, do you want to plug anything this week?
I want to plug our Discord. We got a cool Discord channel server thing, and we'll drop that link. We can't drop it in the live chat, but we will definitely repost it on the Facebook page for anyone who wants to join. And we've got a ton of little niche channels on there that kind of cover everything from you want to rant about your mundane bullshit to you need to rant about your SCA bullshit, and all the things in between that. So definitely check it out. It's fun. Thorfin.
I just want to say that I miss all you ding-dongs, and I wish I could hang out with all you people. I can't wait to actually sit around a real campfire with people again, and after having a day, on the battlefield or at an arts event or whatever, and just be a chance to talk to each other and face to face. I miss all of you guys, and it's been a weird thing. We're all gonna get through it. We're just stay strong, and it's going to be okay. Is all I'm going to say.
Somebody just mentioned there was a question. Okay. There was a question that you wanted to ask, Helga, something that came up a million.
Are you guys down for one more question?
Sure.
I have literally nothing to do, Helga.
Okay, I've got to scroll up and find it because I didn't manage to cut and paste it fast enough. So please give me a moment. Okay. So we got asked a question by Asa about incoming peers who cannot swear fealty due to religion, which is actually one of the bases for our our masters. And so, what do you like when it comes to fealty? How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if someone's religious beliefs, then you have to kind of give them a pass. I don't want to say anyone's religious beliefs, and I don't have very many, are wrong. I mean, if that's what they truly believe and they need to have, but if they meet all the other requirements, then for fuck's sake, they get a pass. I think. I just can't imagine forcing someone to do something to make me feel better, in order for them to just, go against all of their values. I would never do that. And so I just think that's maybe it's discretionary where you could say, like, of course you can. Like every period should have like kind of the outfit the masters have, right? And I think that would be okay. I think that originally we should have made everyone knights right off the bat. Like every single period should have been a knight, and then it would have been how they approached their knighthood. But I don't. Other than that, so. They get us a new thumbs down. They probably got us a new thumbs down, right?
No, we're still sitting at 1 thumbs down. I don't really have an opinion on this because we're in the SCA the way the SCA is structured, and that's kind of how we've cobbled it together over 56 years or whatever. It's come together the way it is. It's not perfect. It has a lot of nuances and weird flaws and all that stuff. If I could start it over, sure. I have my druthers about how I would approach the peerages, but I'm not going to hold a gun to anyone's head and force them to swear fealty. Like, come on, that's not my jam. Forcing people to do things that they don't want to do, that I don't find any pleasure in that. Or saying, things like, well, if you wanted to be a knight, you would swear fealty. Otherwise, you can't be a knight. Fuck you. Like this is a game. This is a game. We believe a lot of it really, really hardcore, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's not going to infringe on anybody's right to choose, anybody's bodily autonomy, psychological autonomy. And I think that sometimes when this conversation gets really heated, and it starts to come across like people have an opposing view and will say things like, well, you're saying that you're going to hold a gun to somebody's head and force them. And that is absolutely not what I want. And you know what? Swear fealty, don't swear fealty. I don't fucking care. It doesn't affect the way that I play the game. The end. Yes, Thorfin.
I'm not really sure we can make anyone do anything in our pretend kingdom that's made of pretend. And so we should just remember that it's a game that we're all playing, and that part of it is intrinsically super valuable to us, but it's also still on the outside, still a game we play, and we're not really knights or kings or princes and princesses and all these things. We're just people that are trying to hang out together and do an activity. And if someone is shitting on your part of that activity, talk to them about that, because that's not cool. I mean, we should all be allowed to do the activity that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a really weird take on this, and I've actually spent the rest of the show grinding on it. My version of fealty does not get to be applied to anybody else that doesn't agree to it. It's like religion, it's like politics, it's like all of that thing. That's the reason why I tried to give the caveat. If I realize that I am a little bit more on the, I'm way harder over on the bell curve of what fealty means to me, but I cannot take what it means to me and apply it to Thorfin, or apply it to Tulia, or apply it to Baby Ninja, or Carius, and then hold them to that standard unless they agree to it.
Sure.
Everything is about consent. That is the reason why when people hunt you down to be students and everything else, they are consenting to your idea of fealty. And that's the thing, is so my idea of fealty is almost autonomous unless I agree to it. So when I became Mari Square, when I became Havek Square, because, technically it's both of them, I agreed to their idea of what fealty was. And then I agreed to, when I became my own peer and had to sever those relationships, I now stand alone in my idea of what fealty is. And any of my students that come along and take on that burden are consenting to the idea of what my fealty is. And that's actually part of the awesome teaching that the SCA is we are a huge group, but I think of fealty like religion, is I don't get to apply my religion to somebody else unless they consent to it.
Yep.
Which is the reason why I also try to understand and note that I am technically further over on that bell curve towards more like that more extremist view of fealty, but also I try not to hold my friends to that idea. I hold myself to that idea. And if they choose to join me in that idea, great. But if they don't, I don't think lesser of them for it, because their views are different. And if I do not understand and make room for that, then I become blind to my own fealty. I become blind to my own oath, and then that leads to actually being an extremist, and I'm not okay with that. And so if I don't make room for other people's idea of fealty, or however it is, and so going back to the original question of somebody that can't swear fealty due to religion, is if you can't swear fealty due to your religion, that's your idea of fealty. So you may take a master, you may take some other form of it, you may never go swear fealty to the crown again. But you're taking on that idea, and I must have faith in that person that they will hold and protect the populace. Because really when all of our fealty oaths in the SCA comes down to is protecting the populace. And that's it, because the crown swears fealty to the populace. So if a knight swears fealty to the crown, I'm swearing fealty to the crown, but that is overarched by the populace. The populace is always first in my mind. And so I have to have faith that other people's ideas of fealty are either similar to mine, or we will discuss them. And that's it.
I'm going to hold my question for after. I don't need to drag this out any longer.
Again, thank you, ladies, for letting me be a guest on your show. I've seen almost all, well, I think almost all of them anyway, and it was a real pleasure. I think you guys are doing a great thing, and to Baby Ninja and Carius for keeping you guys going and helping out. I salute them as well. So thank you. And
well, then in closing words, what I'm going to say is, like, share, and follow. Pimp this out to your friends. If you enjoy the show, please spread the love. Also, I'm going to say, if you have feedback for us, how we can improve the show for you, please send it to us. We're not set in stone, and we would really like to know how we can do better for you out there. Because this show isn't made for us to jerk off to our own ideas on YouTube and have you follow along.
Wait, what? That's not allowed? Shit.
No,
that's not allowed. So before we wrap up, I want to drop two more things in. Two more important things. One is that we have merch. We have merch coming next week. We will hard launch the Redbubble store, featuring designs from our very own Western Viscountess Sophia, and mundanely known as Stevie Barron. And she's done some incredible artwork for us. And she's a professional tattoo artist. She was actually commenting in the comments on YouTube about the YouTube, or about the tattoos and stuff. But so she's done some fantastic art. Some of it you've seen on our Facebook page. So stay tuned for the link for that. And the other thing is the Discord link is in the description of the video right now. So if you want to copy that and add it in and join our Discord.
So beyond that, I'll say everybody have an amazing weekend. Thank you so much for showing up and watching. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Not all.